Hello friends, and welcome back to another What's for Dinner video. I can't believe this is already the 15th episode. In these videos, I share what we had for dinner as well as recipe links and step-by-step instructions. We are a family of 6. I have 4 picky kids, but I still like to cook healthy and delicious food that my family will eat. I hope you guys enjoy this video. On Sunday, I made some beef and lamb kofta kebabs. I usually just make these out of beef, but I saw some ground lamb at the grocery store. I decided to go half and half. So I'm starting off by shredding 1 large onion into my stand mixer bowl. Then I'm going to add my meat, and then I'm going to season it with salt and pepper. My kids are kind of picky with spices. The only spices I use are ground coriander and ground cumin. I also like to add some parsley to the kebabs. I didn't have any fresh, but I did have some frozen, and that works just fine. I'm also adding 1 egg, and I'm also going to add the Italian style breadcrumbs. Then I'm going to stir everything together. I prefer to use metal skewers. The wooden ones always burned even if I soaked them for a couple hours. So I got these little small ones on Amazon, and they work just great for all kinds of kebabs and veggie kebabs and meat kebabs. I'm grilling these on medium-low heat until they are nicely browned. While the kebabs are in the grill, I'm going to work on my sides. I'm going to steam some broccoli, and I will make a fresh salad. I like to do a cucumber and tomato salad. I'm also going to add some avocado and green onions to that. And I just dressed the salad with some avocado oil, salt, and pepper, and that's it. This was our Sunday night dinner. On Monday, I made some roasted Asian drumsticks, and I'm starting off by making the marinade, which is just some soy sauce, honey, oil, ginger, some garlic, and black pepper, and some salt. I'm going to marinate these overnight. I just prefer to marinate my meat for a long period of time to get the full flavor. And I actually followed a recipe for this, so I will link it down below for you. I baked these at 375 for 50 minutes, then I reduced the heat to 350 and I baked them for another 30 minutes. For the side, I decided to cook some buckwheat because we had rice the previous night, and I cook buckwheat as I would cook rice, 2-to-1 ratio. So I boiled 4 cups of water, which I added about 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 teaspoons of salt. Then I cooked 2 cups of buckwheat in that for 20 minutes. I'm sauteing some mushrooms and onions until they are golden. I'm seasoning them, and then I'll just toss the cooked buckwheat with this. This is so delicious, but I'm also going to save about maybe 1/3 of the buckwheat plain because 2 of my kids do not like mushrooms, and they will not eat it if they know there's mushrooms in this. For the veggie dish, I decided to do a kind of an Asian slaw. I found a recipe which I kind of roughly followed depending on what ingredients I had. It was really, really good, and I highly recommend trying it and making it about maybe 2 or 3 hours before dinner and letting it sit with the dressing already mixed in together. Just kind of softens the cabbage up. It was really, really good. And I'll link this recipe down below for you as well. I garnished the salad with some roasted sesame seeds, and this was dinner. It was really delicious and made quite a bit of leftovers for lunch the next day. The next day I made some split pea soup, and not any split pea soup, this is my mama's recipe. I feel like it's more like a veggie soup based on how others make their split peas because I don't puree anything in this soup. I'm starting off by dicing some carrots, celery, and onion. I don't have a recipe link for this. This is just the way my mom used to make this soup. And you're also going to need some potatoes. I'm using about 3 medium-sized gold potatoes, which I have peeled and diced into small cubes. You also need 1 cup of split peas. I'm starting off by preheating some oil in a large soup pot, and I'm going to saute the veggies until they're completely softened and starting to get a little bit golden. I also need some chicken broth for this, but I don't have any, so I'm going to mix up this better than bouillon base in about 4 cups of hot water. Once the veggies have softened and starting to get golden, I'm going to add my garlic. I add about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. I'm going to saute the garlic into the veggies for maybe about 30 seconds just to release the aroma. And then I'm going to add a little bit of tomato sauce. I use about maybe a quarter of the can, just a tiny bit. If you have tomato paste, you can also use that as well. Just saute it for another 30 seconds and then add your liquid. So I'm adding my 4 cups of chicken broth, and then I'm going to add 8 cups of water. So that is 12 cups of liquid total. I'm seasoning the soup with some pepper, salt, and some basil. I'm adding my potatoes and the split peas, and I'm going to cook this on low to medium heat for about 1 hour. So soup is never a full meal for my family. They always want more. So I'm making some piroshki today, and I'm gonna make them with beef. I'm starting off by making the dough, and I will link the recipe that I use for the dough down below for you. As soon as I get my stand mixer out, my 2-year-old runs to help me. She loves to measure everything out, and she loves to play with any scraps of dough that I give her. I'm transferring the dough into a large bowl because I need my stand mixer bowl for the meat mixture, and I'm going to let this rise for about an hour. Into my stand mixer bowl, I'm going to grate 1 large onion. You can also chop it. My kids are pretty picky with finding pieces of onion in their meat mixtures. So I am going to use 1 pound of ground beef. I'm just going to season it with some salt and pepper and stir it together, and that's it. It's a really easy filling, but it's also really, really good. The dough has risen beautifully. It's my favorite dough to use for piroshki. It's really simple and it always turns out really well. I'm going to turn the dough out onto a floured surface, and I'm going to divide it, and I'm going to use half at a time just because my workspace is actually really small. I used some flour to shape the dough kind of into a log shape so it's not super sticky. And then I'm going to divide the dough into smaller sections, which will be for each pirozhok. I dip each piece into some more flour, kind of shaping it into a circle, because once I roll it out, I do want it to keep a nice circle shape. Then I roll out each piece and put it aside. There are endless possibilities of fillings, but my kids prefer meat and they also love the egg and onion filling, but I didn't feel like doing all of that. That was quite a lot to do, to boil eggs and, chop them up. But anyways, I am adding about a heaping tablespoon of the meat mixture, and I'm just pitching the sides just like so. And sometimes you will end up with quite a bit of dough at the ends, and I just snip those right off and pinch it closed, and I keep all of those little pieces because at the end I'm able to do maybe 1 or 2 more pirozhoks with the extra dough. As I finish each pirожок, I'm transferring them onto a floured tray to get them out of my workspace so I can continue and use up the rest of the dough. I'm frying these on low heat. You do not want your skillet on medium heat or high heat because these cook really fast and then your filling will be raw. So you want to cook these slow and low. Once they are golden on one side, just flip them over and cook them on the other. Once the piroshki are done, I transfer them to a paper towel lined plate just to drain up any excess oil, and then I continue cooking the rest. So this was dinner, beef piroshki and a large pot of split pea soup. The next day I made some Mexican foil packets, and I remember finding this recipe in a book at least 15 years ago, so I don't even know what book that was or who to credit for it. But I'm starting off by slicing some gold potatoes. I would say 2 medium-sized potatoes per person, and then I am seasoning it with some avocado oil, salt, pepper, and paprika. Stir everything really well. You're going to need some toppings. I'm using 2 chicken breasts, which I have cubed and seasoned, also some mushrooms, and a can of sliced olives. You'll also need some salsa. We're using Mateo's salsa, and you also need some cheese. I am using cheddar cheese. Since these are foil packets, you're gonna need some foil, and these little single slices from Costco are amazing and so easy to use. I just lay them out on my counter, and I start by putting my bottom layer, which is going to be the potatoes, kind of in a little bird nest. On top of the potatoes, I'm adding the chicken, and then on top of the chicken, I'll add the mushrooms and the olives. Afterwards, I'm pouring some salsa over the tops, and then I'm gonna sprinkle some cheddar cheese over each pile. To seal these, I'm just adding another piece on top and rolling up the ends on all of the sides. I did try making this dish in a casserole thinking it would save me the work of packing each foil packet, but for some reason it didn't taste the same. There's something about it that tastes so good in each packet. I'm laying out the foil packets onto a large baking sheet, and I'm going to bake this at 375 for 1 hour. And that's it. Just top it with some sour cream, more cheese if you want, and green onions, and you've got yourself a delicious dinner. For dessert this week, I made individual cheesecakes. This is a really great idea if you have a family who likes different toppings on their cheesecakes. So I will link the full recipe down below for you that I like to use. I'm starting off by making a crust, and the easiest way to do this is to use your food processor, but if you don't have this, you can just crush them in a large Ziploc bag. I'm tossing the graham cracker crumbs with some butter and sugar, and then I'm going to spoon them into the muffin tin and press them down. I find the easiest and fastest way to press down the graham cracker crumbs is to use the 1/3 cup measuring cup. It's just fast and really easy. Or you can use the back of your spoon or fingers. I like to bake these at 325 for 5 minutes to set the crust, and then I'm going to make the filling. The filling is really good in this recipe. It is 2 blocks of softened cream cheese, 1/3 cup of sour cream, and 1/2 cup of sugar, and of course some vanilla extract and 2 large eggs. Just mix the filling really well and then evenly distribute the batter between all 12 cupcake liners. I bake these at 325 for 20 minutes. I let them cool down and then I store them in the fridge overnight. And then the next day I put on all the toppings. I'm doing a combination of toppings. I melted some chocolate chips for a chocolate topping. I'm also going to use some canned cherries that my husband likes, and I'm going to do some caramel ones as well. And that's it, incredibly easy to make and a little bit of something for everyone. Our Friday dinner was our Sabbath, and this week for dinner I made more of our traditional Russian foods. I made plove, which is a dish that is from Middle East, I believe. It has some meat and rice. I made a beet salad, a carrot salad, and an eggplant appetizer. So this week I will show you how I made the plove, the eggplant, and the beet salad. For the beef plove dish, I am preheating some oil in a large pot, and I'm going to cook or brown some stew cut meat, about a pound. I like to season it with some ground cumin, salt, and pepper. While the beef is browning, I'm going to prepare the veggies that I need for this dish. And you just need 2 large carrots that you peel and you slice into large matchsticks. And you'll also need 1 large onion that you dice. I'm continuing to stir the meat to make sure it browns evenly on all sides while I'm preparing the rest of my ingredients. I'm going to drain 1 can of chickpeas and prepare 2 cups of rice. Now that the meat is browned, I'm going to add my 1 diced onion, and I'm going to stir it and saute it with the meat until it is golden. And then I'm going to add my carrots, and I'm going to saute this for about maybe 2 minutes until the carrots are starting to brown. Now that the carrots are done, I'm going to add 4 cups of water. I'm also going to season the broth with 2 teaspoons of salt, some pepper, and I'm going to add my drained chickpeas to the broth and bring it to a boil. Once it is boiling, I just add 2 cups of unwashed rice. I'm using jasmine rice. Give everything a good stir. Top it with the lid and put it on ultra low. And I'm going to cook this for 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes are up, I'm going to gently stir everything together. I'm going to prop the lid open and remove it from the heat and let it stand for at least 10 minutes before serving. That's it. It's a delicious meal that is very filling and it reheats beautifully the next day. Next, I made the beet and garlic salad. I'm starting off by boiling 3 large beets until I can easily pierce them with a fork. I like to do this the night before because the next day I like to peel them and shred them using my mandolin slicer. I got my slicer on Amazon and I use it all the time. I also make carrot salad using it. Next, I'm chopping up some walnuts. I like to add a little bit of crunch to this salad. You can also use pine nuts, but this is all I had. So I'm adding that to the salad as well as some mayonnaise. I'm using the avocado mayo, maybe about 3 tablespoons. Also some fresh garlic, some salt and pepper. Just stir everything together and your salad is done. is definitely a different kind of salad, but the beets are so healthy for you, and I love to serve this with any kind of rice dish. Last but not least, I'm showing you how I make my fried eggplant appetizers. I'm starting off by slicing one eggplant into about 1/4 inch slices. I'm going to dredge these eggplant pieces in some flour. You can also just fry them by itself, which is also good, but I wanted a little bit of crunch, so I'm preparing some flour with some Italian seasoning, salt, and pepper. Just stir everything together, and then in the other bowl I need some eggs. So I have 3 eggs, which I just season with salt and pepper and whisk that together as well. I'm going to create a garlic aioli to top each eggplant with when they're done cooking. So it's just basically mayonnaise, some garlic, salt, and pepper. And just stir it together and put it aside until you are ready for it. I have a large skillet with some oil in it, and it is set on low to medium heat. You don't want it on high because it'll just burn and then your eggplant will not be cooked through. I'm dredging the pieces into flour, then egg, and then back into flour to get the maximum crispiness. Once the eggplant is golden on one side, I just flip them over and continue cooking until both sides are golden. I'm removing the eggplant onto a paper towel lined plate to remove any excess oil, and then I will continue with the rest of the eggplant until I have cooked everything. I like to top these eggplant appetizers with some tomatoes, some fresh dill, and Parmesan, but you can just eat them plain, just dip them in the garlic aioli, or find any other toppings that you would like. I'm placing my eggplant patties onto a large serving dish, and I'm putting about 1 teaspoon of the garlic aioli on each slice. Then I'm just going to top it with my toppings. I honestly don't think I've ever tried an eggplant recipe that I did not like. There's just something about eggplant that is so good, especially when it is paired with garlic. Well, this brings this video to an end. I really do hope you guys enjoyed cooking along with me this week. And if you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos from me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.